you serious?
Are you serious?
Are you serious?
It's got 30% more power than RAV4.
Are you serious?
The Ford Cougar Titanium with EcoBoost technology.
Welcome to our final week of the eLearning Bloggers Masterclass. This week we're introducing Lucy Matheson from Bake, Play, Smile. Lucy began her blog in 2013 and in 2 short years it's grown into one of Australia's most recognised food blogs. Lucy is passionate about Pinterest and today will share with us her insights to help everyone get the most out of Pinterest.
Hi everyone, I'm Lucy from Bake, Play, Smile and I'm so excited to be here today. I really want you to leave today's Pinterest session with some practical and simple tips for how you can make Pinterest work for your blog. Before I get into it all, I think it's really important to be realistic about your social media strategy. You can't do everything. So think about your audience and decide which form of social media they use the most, and then focus your attention on that. Don't neglect the others, but just make one your priority. If Pinterest isn't going to be your main focus, there's still a lot of little tips and tricks in today's session that will help you. Pinterest is essentially part inspiration board and part organisational tool. It's used by both brands and individuals and allows people to create boards that are of interest to them. For example, you might have a blogging resources board, a school lunchbox recipes board, etc. And from here, you can pin images that you see on Pinterest to your boards. When you pin something, it will then show up in your followers' home feed and they may choose to repin it to one of their boards and so on. When Pinterest is used correctly, it's an incredibly powerful tool and traffic booster. Essentially, brands and blogs use Pinterest because they want people to repin their images, click through to their website and then either buy a product or read a particular post. There's no doubt that Pinterest is huge. It has over 72 million users worldwide and it's continuing to grow in popularity. Even if it's not going to be your main social media focus, it would be a shame to ignore it completely. Bloggers who use Pinterest well receive massive traffic from it. It's really consistent, and the fact that people are continually repinning images means that your old posts can become popular again. All of your followers will see your pins, meaning that you have maximum exposure and control. I separate my pinning strategy into 2 categories: after I publish a new post and just my everyday pinning. So each time I publish a post, I make sure that I have a pinnable image at the top. I also create a pinnable collage. I then go through my post and schedule several images to be pinned to all of my relevant boards over a period of time. I like to leave about a 2 or 3 day gap between pinning the same image to a different board. Finally, I add my feature pin to Facebook sharing groups. All of them have different rules, but generally you add one of your own pins and then you repin 5 others in return. The second part of my pinning strategy is just my everyday pinning. I find that using the Pinterest app is the best way to quickly pin others' content. I aim for around 5 5-minute sessions a day, and when I'm pinning during this time, I'll pin 80% of others' content to 20% of my own. I also make sure that I'm repinning from group boards that I own as well as group boards that I belong to. But don't feel like you can only pin images that are relevant to your blog. Pin anything that you or your audience might be interested in. My blog is food-based, but I pin hairstyles, home decorating ideas, holiday destinations, etc. When you're starting out on Pinterest, there's 10 really important things you need to do. First of all, make sure you sign up for a business account or convert your personal account over. You also want to make it as easy as possible for people to pin directly from your website. So make sure that you have a pin it button and a sharing plugin. Take the time to set your boards up properly. It will pay off later on. Focus on creating pinnable images. Follow quality pinners and steer clear of the spammy ones. Pin in short, regular intervals throughout the day. Another little tip is to make sure that when you load your images onto your blog, you write a really great description in the alt text box. Pinterest automatically uses that as the description, so you want it to be something like the best chocolate chip cookies ever rather than image 560. Okay, so let's talk about how to make perfectly pinnable images. There are essentially 3 major elements of the perfect pin. The first one is size. Pinterest likes long and skinny images or collages. The perfect image size is 735 by 1102. Secondly, Pinterest is all about high image quality. If you're using photos that aren't great, they're not going to be repinned. Simple as that. Make sure you're using really great photos that you've taken yourself, or use stock images like those that you can buy from Dollar Photo Club. Finally, the posts that go viral are virtually always the ones that have a title or brief description somewhere on the image. Make sure that everyone knows what your pin is about just by glancing at the image. When it comes to setting up your boards, you want to be completely explicit. Your titles and descriptions need to clearly state what the board is about. For example, if you have a board dedicated to healthy recipes, call it Healthy Recipes. This will help with making sure your board shows up in search results and will also lead to increased repins. Make sure that the very first board on your Pinterest account is one that's dedicated solely to your blog's pins. You can easily move your boards around, and it's a great idea to have your most popular ones first, but also make sure that you rearrange them seasonally. When it comes to the number of boards you need, there's really no right or wrong answer. It's all about having the number of boards that you can realistically manage. You do, however, want to make sure that you have several boards that relate to your blog's niche. For example, if you have a craft blog and you publish a post about knitting, you want to be able to pin your images to your craft board, your knitting board, your rugs and blankets board, your home ideas board, etc. One of the most common questions I get asked is about group boards. And yes, the most successful pinners out there are members of group boards. Essentially though, you want to join active group boards within your niche and pin to them regularly. If you use group boards correctly, you'll find that your pins will be seen by a much larger number of people, the chances of a pin going viral are higher, and you can start to build a community with fellow bloggers within your niche. Starting your own group board is also a fantastic way to collaborate on Pinterest and increase your exposure and authority. But what you really want to know is how to get more followers, right? Well, it's great to have lots of followers, but what's even more important than that is the number of repins and click-throughs you're getting. Pinterest is one of my top traffic referrals, far ahead of Facebook, and yet I have 20,000 more Facebook fans than Pinterest followers. So why is that? It's because people don't actually need to be following you on Pinterest to click through to your website. They might just see your pin come up in their home feed or in a search, and then they repin it to one of their boards or click through directly to your website. But there are a few little simple tips and tricks for increasing your followers. First of all, it's all about pinning regularly. It's not rocket science. The more you pin, the more followers you'll get. So make sure you pin in nice little short, sharp bursts across different times of the day. Whatever you do, only pin great content. Your followers don't want to see crappy pins. Follow pinners in group boards that you belong to. Chances are they'll follow you back. The ultimate and most important question is, how do you actually get traffic from Pinterest to your blog? So the number one way to get traffic off Pinterest and onto your blog is through repins. People will repin your images and either click through immediately to your website, or they'll pin it to one of their boards with the intention of coming back to it later. While getting a zillion followers isn't your main goal, the more followers you have, the more people will see your pins, and therefore the more likely you are to get traffic to your site. Having pinnable images on your website and pinning regularly will definitely help to boost your traffic. Make sure that you get into your analytics and see which of your images perform the best on Pinterest, and then do more of that. So, is it possible to make money from Pinterest? Absolutely, yes. There are three main ways you can earn an income from Pinterest. The first way is by boosting traffic to your website. Essentially, increased website views equals increased ad revenue. This is the primary way that I make money from Pinterest. There are also two other clever ways that you can make money. First of all, you can drive traffic to one of your blog posts that contains affiliate links. For example, last week I pinned a gorgeous throw rug, and when I clicked through to the website, it took me to a post titled "The Top 10 Decorative Items You Need This Spring." Each of the items was an affiliate link. I ended up buying 2 items through that post, so the blogger earned 2 lots of affiliate commissions simply by having a pinnable image on Pinterest. Finally, if you have an online shop, you must be pinning your stock to Pinterest. People will see your products and click through to your online shop and purchase your items. And don't think that this is only restricted to physical products. If you have an ebook or an e-course and you don't have pinnable images promoting it on Pinterest, you're dramatically reducing your reach and your potential sales. There are lots of free tools you can use to boost your Pinterest presence. When you're creating images, use PicMonkey or Canva. They're both free, super easy to use. Google Analytics and Pinterest Analytics will give you so much information about which of your pins are performing the best. And PinGroupie is the free website where you can find group boards. Thanks so much for listening. I hope you've come away from my presentation with some ideas for how you can use Pinterest to really boost your blog traffic and maybe even earn you some money at the same time. Happy pinning!
There's a lot going on Pinterest, and we all know that it's too easy to lose days of your life looking at all the Pinterest pretty. So how do you stand out from the crowd? Being smart about when and how you pin. That's how. At KidSpot, we find that a concentrated burst of pinning each day is more powerful than adding a pin every now and then. Pinning in the early evening has maximum impact, as does pinning to your own site, along with repinning similar themed images. So pick a theme, say pink lemonade, pin your own image, and then repin a couple of similar images from around Pinterest. It works a treat.
We hope you've enjoyed this week's segment. Thank you to all our guest presenters who've taken the time to share their knowledge and secrets over the past 5 weeks. We trust you've enjoyed this year's eLearning Blogger Masterclass series and have picked up some helpful tips for each of the social media platforms we featured. A massive thank you must go to the Voices of 2015 sponsor, Ford, for making this eLearning Bloggers Masterclass series possible.